Nick Folk is a veteran NFL kicker currently with the New York Jets and one of the most consistent and durable specialists of his generation. A standout multi-sport athlete growing up in Southern California, Nick attended Notre Dame High School before earning a scholarship to the University of Arizona. At Arizona, he became one of the top kickers in the country, earning All-American honors and the Lou Groza Award as the nation's top collegiate kicker. He was drafted in 2007 by the Dallas Cowboys under legendary head coach Wade Phillips. Over a career spanning nearly 2 decades, Nick has played for multiple franchises, including the Cowboys, the New York Jets, 2 separate stints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New England Patriots under Bill Belichick, and the Tennessee Titans under Mike Vrabel. Throughout his journey, he has experienced a wide spectrum of coaching styles, from old-school authority and rigid systems to player-first leadership and modern, emotional, intelligent team cultures. Nick's longevity in one of the NFL's most pressure-filled positions provides a rare lens into performance, psychology, leadership dynamics, accountability, team chemistry, and the rapid evolution of technology in professional sports. On this episode, we explore leadership, coaching philosophy, team environments, and how technology has transformed professional athletics over the course of his career.
Welcome to the IT Masters Podcast, where technology leaders share their strategies shaping the future of IT. Hosted by Robert DeVita, CEO of Magetics. We bring you candid conversations with CIOs, CTOs, and enterprise architects who are driving digital information, from AI-driven security to cloud innovation and IT modernization. We cut through the noise to bring you real insights from the brightest minds in tech. No sales pitches, no fluff, just thought-provoking discussions with the masters of IT. Subscribe now and join the conversation. The IT Masters Podcast, where the best in IT share their journey.
Nick, we're going to start with talking about technology in sports. Sometimes when I talk to you about kicking, you almost sound like Phil Mickelson talking about chipping, right? There's so many different aspects to it. It's really, from listening to you, there's a science behind it, right? Mm-hmm. Based on wind conditions, based on the temperature outside, based on a bunch of different things. How has technology played into specifically your kicking? Is there anything that you've seen over the last 20 years that has made you a more accurate kicker, a better kicker from a technology standpoint?
I think the 2 things that people have started using, I don't have access to one of them. Some guys use TrackMan, like the actual TrackMan that you get in golf.
Yep.
I kind of get it, and you could see it. They used to put it on Sunday Night Football where it would say kick is good from. So like any kick, like even a 30-yarder, it would go through the uprights, and they would have their TrackMan or whatever they had on it, and it would say good from 55.
Yep.
And so I've seen that. I haven't necessarily used it a ton because I don't know what the purpose necessarily of it is, unless you're trying to see how fast the ball comes off your foot. The other big one I would say that has come along is film. Like you can now record on your iPhone real fast and you can get immediate feedback. Where when I was coming out of high school and to a degree even in college, you had the big old camera.
Yep.
And they had to go wait, and then they had to go put it on whatever, or you had to get it onto a DVD, or then you go plug it into the TV and then you got to watch it. So now you get instant feedback, and a lot of teams use that out of practice. They'll bring an iPad out, and you'll get it right away. And then there are even apps that go along with it that you can like really break down, your body position, your body whatever.
Yep.
So I would say the biggest one is probably just having your phone really with you, that you can really get instant feedback right away on what you're doing and how you're doing it.
You don't miss very often, but when you do miss, are you looking at that kick on the Surface tablet on the sideline to see if you've done if there was anything from a technique perspective?
No, because the Surface in the NFL right now is still just pictures. So remember back in the day they would print pictures?
Yep.
It's the same thing. There's no live feed yet. I think in preseason they're talking about, or they have done it recently where they had the film ready to go right away. But I don't necessarily see it because it's the views they have are almost the whole field. So they're looking at wide pictures. They're not really focusing in on me. So I haven't ever, I've looked at the Surface when talking with someone, not about kicking though, just about the kickoff player, the punt player, whatever. But I haven't looked at it for myself.
Got it. I just recently went into our club, and we've got, these sensors that they put on. There's 14 sensors on your club. There's one in your hat. There's around your waist. And the biggest thing for me from that was, being able to visualize your swing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys using stuff like that in the NFL?
No.
Maybe from a technique perspective?
No, I haven't seen anyone use it. They do some things not necessarily for position specific like that, but we have this thing called DARI. I don't know what it stands for. I don't know what it does, but you get in a room. We have a room at the Jets, and there's maybe 6 or 8 cameras around, and you get in the middle, and then you move, and then on the computer screen, it's almost got the sensors on all your joints. Okay. And then you go through a series of 8-10 moves, and it tells you like how deep you're squatting, if you're leaning to your right or left, your ankle flexion, your knee flexion, hip flexion, all that. So it's more of an injury predictor. They're trying to use it like, okay, you're very heavy on your right when you're jumping, so we got to like even that out a little bit. But I haven't seen anything from a technique standpoint like you're talking about with golf where you can visualize it. Guys just use really the film and try to say, okay, well, you're looking from your knee or your toe to your ankle to your knee, like how straight you are or whatever. There's no real sensors that I've seen guys use yet. I'm sure it's not far behind, but I haven't seen anyone use it.
When you're sitting in some of these meetings, right? You guys have a lot of meetings. How much has the analytics of the game changed? Where I would think now that, my daughter plays volleyball, right? Mm-hmm. And I can get a huddle highlight for her in like 10 hours after her game. Mm-hmm. And that's just sort of, a highlight thing. But I think there's got to be another level of analytics that goes into, hey, when the Jets are 3rd and 9, no offense, which they were a lot, that defenses should be smarter at scheming against that. And then the other way, right? If, you're 3rd and 9 against the Patriots defense, right? You should have an idea of some percentile of what they're going to run in these scenarios.
Mm-hmm. The analytics are there, and they're very in-depth for a lot of teams. I learned a lot about that through Bill Belichick when I was with the Patriots. He would have kind of elongated team meetings and go through everything from A to B, and I learned probably more football in my 4 years there than I had in my entire career. But he would go through a lot of that himself with the team. And then it was obviously, I don't want to say 30,000 foot, but call it 10,000 foot with the team. And then when you got to OD and special teams, that's when they really broke it down into way more specific things. So yes, it's there. And you're talking about film. Like when we get on the bus after an away game, if you want the film, then you give me your iPad. And they upload it right to your iPad right then and there, and you have the film, and guys are watching it. I mean, we leave the stadium 1 hour after the game, so guys are probably on the bus 30 minutes after the game. They have it on their iPad right then and there. So you get almost instant feedback. And then I do know when I was in Tennessee, I'm pretty sure, they would have the practice on an iPad on the field. So you could run your series of 6-8 plays, and while the defense is doing theirs or offense, you go and watch it right away and correct it right then and there. And so if we need to repeat a play, they'll go in the next period, repeat the one that they messed up or whatever they needed to see, and it was done, and they didn't need to repeat it the next day. It was we corrected it right away. So yeah, there's a lot more technology now. The iPad is new-ish in the NFL now. I mean, it's been around for probably 10 years or so, but before it was paper. Now everything's done. All the scheduling's done on your phone. New England didn't like doing that. They were still red sheet paper. Like they'd give you a schedule. But I mean, everything's now just the technology is making it easier to communicate. And then in COVID, we had to use all kinds of stuff. We were WebEx, I think is what the Patriots used, because Bill wanted the hardest thing to penetrate was WebEx.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing to use also. When we say, hey, if we don't like a customer, we're going to sell them WebEx. How much has Madden changed the game?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't play Madden. I'm not a video gamer, so I don't know.
So when you're watching ESPN, right, they'll show, sort of Madden for different scenarios.
Okay.
Are teams using that at all? Are they using anything where, you can visualize what a formation would be? Because I remember you telling me that the Patriots had a room.
Okay, so like the Madden part, I'm not sure. So it started my first go around with the Jets. They had a camera right behind every play. There was a single unipod camera that had a special thing, and it was with a specific company. I forget the company. And they were out of San Francisco. They were a tech company. And then that would translate, and they would put on the first or second iteration VR goggles. And so the thought was, if you're a quarterback and you wanted to see it again, you could put on, it would like be right over the quarterback's head. And so you could actually go and VR it in a room and see that. So that started it. Then the Patriots kind of version of that, we had what we called a virtual room. Okay. And it was really just a walkthrough room to a degree, but you could get into your formation or you could see what they were doing. So I'll use it for special teams wise. We would get the punt team out in the room because it was probably 18 yards deep, so you could get a full punt formation if you needed it. The punter, it didn't really matter, but it was like 18 yards deep, and it was almost top of the numbers, so it was pretty wide. It was a pretty big room. And we would get in punt formation. We would have the scout punt team. I would run the scout punt team because the assistant coordinator was doing something with the gunners. And so I'd show them the card. They'd run the look. And then on the screen, the coordinator would walk through it, make sure everyone was good, and then we'd show it how the Jets would run it, right? So you could get a visual of it, and then, okay, now we're going to see it in full speed and see the specific move that, 52 did or whatever it might be. So they did a little bit of that, and then this year at the Jets, the quarterbacks had a GoPro on their helmet that I don't know what that was used for. I just know it was on there every practice. So teams are trying to get as innovative as they can to help guys visualize and see and what's going on. But I do know that there are some VR stuff out there, but I haven't seen a team have like an actual room for anything like that yet.
Where have you seen technology play a inside of recovery?
Okay. Recovery's taken a major kind of leap forward, I think. Now, there's a little bit of a caveat on that, I'd say, because again, when I was in New England, I became actually really good friends with their, I guess he called the director of sports science or something like that. He's now the head here in the Mavericks. And I was talk to him about all kinds of stuff, like, okay, what does the laser do and STEM and this? And he said, well, the only actual science and actual, what's the word he used? Peer-reviewed studies that work are literally rest, ice, compression, elevation. That works, and then manual therapy. So in New England, we had manual therapists, so it was almost like you're getting a massage all the time, but it was like, all right, I need to work on my quads, and we do that, and we do some exercise with it. But you do see a lot of the cryo chambers. You see a lot of the modalities out there to help guys, even if it's just a little bit of pain, move some inflammation. But you see it. I mean, one year at the Jets, we had a saltwater cold tub because salt water freezes at a lower temperature, so you could get it under 32 degrees, which stunk.
Yeah.
But and the salt was good for you at times. Like, I mean, take Epsom salt baths and stuff like that. So,
so you're a big bath guy.
I'd take cold tub all the time. Cold tub, not a bath. You can come to my house. We'll get in a cold tub.
Perfect. Perfect. So if you were entering college today or the NFL as a rookie, what advantages would you have now that you didn't have back then?
Well, in NFL as a kicker, the football. I mean, this year we changed the football, how we got to break it in. That's a whole huge science experiment in of itself. My first bunch of years. So the old rule was the NFL would send 6 K-balls, kicking balls, to each stadium. Each team would send one representative from your equipment staff, usually, into a room like this with a referee, and you got to bring a brush and a wet towel, and you broke in ball, like if you're the home team, 1-3-5, you're the away team, 2-4-6. They had 30 minutes, and so if it was a good day outside, you'd say, all right, break in ball. You'd have this conversation in the preseason. Break in ball 1 for 20 minutes. Break in ball 2 for 8 minutes, and ball 3 barely touch because we probably won't get to it. So you went through that. So just, I don't even know how to explain it. Think of the best way to explain it is you're the starting shortstop for the New York Yankees.
Mets.
Mets. There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Mets. And all you get every game is to break in your glove for 20 minutes. The guys would hate it. They'd be like, no. And some of those guys would use gloves for years, right? Yep. They would break it in, and they're like, this is the one, and they just keep like getting the strings redone or whatever. So what happened over time, it became an hour. They got an hour in there, and then they got to bring more people. Then the balls got to come into your own locker room, and so the equipment guys could do other work besides just breaking a ball. And this year what they did is they sent every team 60 K balls with your logo, so it would have a Jet logo, K, and it was 1 to 60. Okay. You got to break them in however you wanted, kick them, do whatever you wanted to them. You'd bring 3. We would always bring 4 or 5 to a game because the rule is the refs can deem a ball not playable. Okay. I didn't hear of a ball being not playable. Maybe they're keeping the wraps. I don't know. And then after it was played in 3 games, it was retired. You weren't allowed to play with it anymore. So we kind of had a strategy at the Jets. We would break in a bunch during training camp. We would use a ball for 2 games, and if it was a really nice ball, we knew it was going to get cold later in the year, we'd save it. We put it away until the end of the year.
Wow.
Right? But there's some method to that because when you're going to play in Buffalo when it's 8 degrees outside, you want a really broken-in ball that you know is going to fly. So that's what we did at the Jets, and it worked out for us this year. We really did a good job with it. But that, I think, would be that's a big advantage for these young kickers because they didn't have to kick like literally a ball out of the bag. And even when I got in, it was better. From what I heard in the late 90s, the rule changed when they actually invented the K-ball because there was a whole bunch of touchbacks on kickoffs, and they wanted to eliminate it. So what they did is they literally said, brand new out of the bag for every game for kickers, and kickers hated it.
Kicking a rock?
Yeah, it's not broken in. Nothing's broken in. So then they got to where, okay, we're going to let them break it in a little bit. We want the kicking to be pretty good, and now it's like, all right, we want long field goals. They kind of have figured out the no touchback thing on kickoffs with the new rule. Punting was still really good, and there were still big returns and punts. And even if there aren't big returns, but returners are returning the ball, that rule probably won't change, the new K-ball rule, because you're getting long field goal attempts, which is exciting you make it, or exciting you miss it because you only have to go 15 yards for a field goal attempt the other way. The kickoff rule is fine, and the only way I see it changing is if punters get so much hang time from the new ball that there are no punt returns or the punt return percentage goes down. But even so, even if they get 3 yards of return, they don't care because it's the return.
It's the action.
It's the action they want. They just don't want fair catches all the time.
So do you think that the new ball scenarios that you're talking about, has that been the single biggest factor in where we've seen super long field goals?
One of them,
2 years. I mean, we're seeing guys
68 now.
Yeah.
One of them, yes. The biggest factor is probably as every kid has gotten bigger, stronger, faster. So have specialists. So you're a kid in high school. You're like, all right, I run a 4.4. But I played soccer growing up. Well, now these kids are running 4.3. I'm not touching the field in high school. Well, how can I get on the field? Well, I played soccer. I can kick. So some of these guys are just like, I don't want to say the worst, but not athletic enough to make their high school team or play on the field, play a position. Like, I'm going to kick. So some of these guys are just, as everyone's gotten bigger, stronger, faster, they have kept up with that pace. And then the K-ball. And then I think the other biggest difference is field position still is to a degree, but was a limiting factor in, like Adam Vinatieri had a huge, like even when he was 40 plus, I watched him in warm-ups hit from 60 in Indy. So it's not that he couldn't do it. It's just that coaches were like, well, let's punt it and let's let Adam kick a 48-yard field goal after we get the ball back and drive it down instead of kicking a 60. So I think younger head coaches, I mean, shoot, I'm older than some of my head coach, or my Tennessee, Callahan and I were the same age. A lot of my coordinators that I played for recently I've been older than. But young head coaches, offensive-minded head coaches, they just want points. And so like, well, we'll kick it, and if we give up a touchdown, I'll score a touchdown. Yep. Right? So that's just the way it goes. And it's not that the old guys haven't or couldn't do it. It's just they weren't ever really given the opportunity, I think, more or less. Now, the uber long ones, yeah, that ball will probably add I don't know, some conditions, 5-6 yards, I'd say.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you kicked your career-long field goal this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ball, you're just in superior athletic condition than you were 20 years ago?
I
Right
mean,
place, right time?
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, right? Most of the really, really, really long kicks you see, I'd say probably except for Brendan Aubrey and maybe one other guy, have to be at the end of the half, right? Or end of the game. You don't really see a ton of plus 60s in
second quarter.
Middle of second quarter. So I think it's the right place, right time. You just got to get the opportunity. I think in my career, everyone's like, "Wayne, you have what? Why?" My honest opinion is I've kicked, I believe, 2 or 3 before I made the 58. I think I kicked 2 or 3 balls total in my career over 58 yards. So it's just an opportunity thing, right? Yeah. Like you got to get the opportunity, and then playing in New York's tough half the year, playing in New England's tough half the year. Then I'm going to Buffalo all the time. So I haven't necessarily played in like great conditions to have it happen. Like Jacksonville, I played there a couple times, and it's, if you get there and it's warm as can be, the ball just goes.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's opportunity, and a lot of it is just right place, right time. And I the ball makes a difference, and our snappers and holders, I've been lucky. My snappers hold have been really good, but they've also improved. You watch some of these snappers fire a field goal snap back, and the ball's just like sitting like you're kicking off sticks, where pre my time, the snap would come back and the holder was putting it down right as the kicker was kind of kicking it, so you didn't see it all the time.
Yep.
Some of these guys are so good that the ball gets back there so fast that it's just down, and you could almost leave as the ball's being put down here, and it's like kicking off sticks instead of having a little bit of unrhythm in there.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about some of the coaches that you played for.
Okay.
So you came into the league, and Wade Phillips.
Wade, yeah.
What was his style of coaching?
Wade was a very, we just call him a player's coach. He wanted what was best for the players, what the players wanted to do. He wanted a player-run locker room, and it worked. My rookie year, we were 13-3, number 1 seed in the NFC.
Made the Pro Bowl as a rookie.
Went to Pro. We had 13 guys go to the Pro Bowl.
Wow.
My rookie year. We had a really good team, and then we just didn't play well in the playoffs. It kind of late in the year had a little some injuries happen, and then we just didn't put it together as a team in the playoffs. But he was a lot of fun to play for. We got our work in. We did what we had to do. And then it just great defensive mind. He kind of let Jason take over the offense, and Jason Garrett ran the offense, and Wade took over the team. But it was I don't want to say relaxed or nonchalant, but it was kind of like, all right, everyone just do your job and we'll be fine. That was his kind of mantra, and a lot of fun to play for him. So yeah.
How do you get your rookie coming in? How do you get the head coach to trust you as a kicker, right? Because I think being the kicker, there's got to be a level of trust there, and it's tough when you have sort of no track record in the NFL. So first you got to make the team, right? Was there a competition, or because you got drafted, it was sort of?
No, there was. My kind of history, went to Arizona, redshirted. My redshirt freshman year, I didn't kick field goals until the very end, and then Mike Stoops came in, and I kicked field goals for 3 years, and then my last 2 years I punted and kicked. I wasn't a great field goal kicker in college. I mean, I just wasn't. I was progressing in the right way, and the end of my senior year, I think I made 10 kicks in a row, ended really well, went to the Senior Bowl, had a really good combine. So I was kind of like trending in the right way. Well, then get drafted, competed against Martin Gramatica down in San Antonio. We both had like amazing camps. If I remember right, I don't remember the number of balls we kicked, but we did 2. He got 6 kicks every time we kicked field goals, and I got 6 kicks. So I don't remember if we did it every day. I forget. But down in San Antonio, before we came back up here for our first preseason game, I missed 1 field goal in however many we did, and he missed 3. Like, it was unbelievable. Just like we were just bang, bang, bang. And then how we kind of did the rotation during preseason was he had the first field goal, extra point, and kickoff. And so we had to remember who was up, because it wasn't like, okay, you're going to kick a field goal and then kick off, and then Nick's going to get the next pair. it was like if he kicks off to open the game, then he gets the next field goal. But Nick, you got to kick off, right? So we just kind of a rotation to try to even it out. First game he made a field goal. The next game I got 2 field goals, I think, because it was like I forget the rotation. And then we went up to Minnesota, I think. No, we went down to Houston, and then he had a little injury down there, and then went to Minnesota, and I was the only kicker. But we had a great camp, and then, on cut day, it was kind of like they didn't even say anything to me. It was just like Martine was in there. Martine called me, "Hey, congratulations," and I was like, "What?" They didn't say you made the team or anything. So
there was no NFL film in there.
No, there was nothing. No, I've been at Hard Knocks 3 times, but no, there was nothing. So, yeah, and then you just got to perform. You just got to go out there and do your job. And made my first kick week 1, and then week 2, I think, is when I kind of probably got a little bit of the team's confidence. So we were playing in Miami on the dirt.
This is back in the baseball field?
Baseball field, yep. It would have been my second NFL field goal ever. The quarter was about to run out, and it was a short field goal. I mean, under 30 yards, I'm pretty sure. Miami called the timeout to make me kick off the dirt. Good thinking. Made it, fine. Make another one in the second or third quarter on the grass the other way. And then the fourth quarter to put us up 10, I had a big kick off it was like, I think, a 48, I believe, off the dirt. Made it, and that's kind of when I think the team was like, all right, we'll be okay. And then a couple weeks later, the Buffalo game, Monday Night Football, was kind of, I guess you could say, my true welcome to the NFL moment.
It was early in the year, thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, funny talking to those guys. They were like, thank God we didn't play yesterday. We didn't play on Sunday because they said it was like 40 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds. And we played Monday night, and it was 70 degrees and no wind at all.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I got lucky up there. But then I played a 60-mile-an-hour wind game up there. That's always fun.
Oh, nice.
We threw the ball 3 times all game.
Jeez. All right, so then you go Rex Ryan and the Jets.
Yeah.
So if you are telling me that Wade Phillips is a player's coach, does Rex take it to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, Rex is
everything
awesome.
to the next level.
Rex is amazing. He was awesome to play for. He was the master of making sure he took the blame for everything. He wanted guys to go out there and play as fast as they could. I remember us having meetings, and on like Friday, he was like, all right, guys, if you guys don't like the game plan, come and tell me. We'll take out everything that you guys don't want in here so that way we can play fast. Offense, defense, special teams. I don't know if anyone ever went and did that. I have no idea. But he always wanted to say, just blame me. I can take the blame. I want you guys to play fast and physical, and we will go win. And he had his formula for winning, with Mark. I remember it. It was like rushing attempts and completions were our kind of jam. We got to run the ball, complete it, and that obviously led to time of possession.
Yep.
Takeaways were a big thing. But he was awesome. I love playing for Rex. He gave you a ton of confidence to go be yourself, and everyone could do their job to the best of their ability.
Yep. I mean, as a Jets fan, I want my coach to say that we're going to win the Super Bowl every year. Yeah. And he no joke. Yeah. Like he meant it. He believed it. Like I think that team like really energized the city.
Yeah.
Like, you guys were good.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of plays away. 2 years.
Two in a row, and I was there for the second one. Yeah, I got there in 2010. They just gone to one, and a lot of the team was kind of left over. They brought in some new pieces, and it was just a really good team. We had a good mix of veteran leadership from like Tony Richardson, Jason Taylor showed up, LT showed up, to some young guys and Sean Green, and we had a couple of young guys on the O-line, and Sanchez was still young, going first and second year.
Mango came in with that.
Mango was there in
years before that?
Yeah, he got there in 06. He was a year older than I was. Him and Brick holding down the line. It was a really good mix. And we had some good receivers. We had Braylon and Santonio, 2 very kind of different receivers that played well off each other, and then Jericho Cotchery in the slot, and Dustin Keller, tight end. So they were good teams. They were really good teams. Just my mom to this day, I wish there were 2 more minutes in the AFC Championship game because we would have beaten Pittsburgh. So yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun. And I think Rex has probably learned from kind of the years after on how he could have done better. So yeah.
I think on that team, from you know better than I do, one of the best athletes I've ever seen on a field was Cromartie.
Oh yeah,
the guy was just a physical. He could run like the wind.
yeah.
He returned kicks. I mean, he was the machine.
He was so good. He took care of himself. He was amazing. Great person. Great family man. I know everyone's talking about all the extracurricular he had, but I saw him this past year at Mangold's funeral, and we picked up right where we left off. And last time I saw him, he's awesome. His wife is amazing. His kids are great. He's a great dad to them. I think he's got one that I think committed to Florida State now. He's got a daughter at Fisk, I believe, doing gymnastics. So super athletic family, and he was an athlete of all athletes. I mean, he could do anything you wanted him to. He could run, he could jump. When he goes swing a golf club, it would look funny, but the ball would go straight and far. He was just a great athlete, and he's a great person.
So you guys mentioned you guys all met back at Nick Mangold's funeral over this summer, right?
No, that was late October, early November.
That's right.
Yeah.
What kept that team so close? I mean, because it seems like it was a very tight-knit group.
Yeah, I mean, I think guys just believed in each other, and there was a camaraderie about the locker room that year. There was no kind of divisiveness. Everyone kind of came together, and then the guys that stayed around a little bit longer, Nick, Brick, myself, Crow, Dave Harris, Darrell Rivas, stuff like that. We kind of stayed together, and we stayed in touch a little bit. You could kind of see it, and you saw it at Nick's funeral. A lot of guys showed up. We were at a small little church in Madison, New Jersey, and if it weren't for, I mean, they wanted a head count from the Jets because they knew how many people would show up. They ended up opening up the parish office or the parish to have a secondary one in there, and luckily Jay and I got in early enough to go be in the church. But he had a family all over. He had Ohio State friends. Jim Tressel was there. So Nick meant a lot to a lot of people, and he was just bigger than life personality. And I think that's why guys kind of grew to him, because he could bring anyone in. He was the life of the party and life of the locker room, but then he could sit down and talk to you as just a human as well. So
that's awesome. All right, so then you go to New England and Belichick, and you'd mentioned before that Wade Phillips, do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to me about the different style from now. It seems like so far you've had all defensive coaches.
Yep.
To a certain extent. Does Belichick take that to a different level?
No, because he knew so much about football. I mean, offense, defense, special teams. He knew it all. There were times when he would be in special teams meeting, helping coach the meeting. I don't know how much he did offensively. I don't know that. I know defensively he was probably in some of those meetings helping. But he had his imprint on the entire team. And when my first day there, Wednesday, I flew in on a Tuesday night, got there Wednesday, did all my physical stuff. We go to team meeting 8 o'clock, let's say it was. We were playing the Ravens, and this is the first time I've ever seen this in the NFL. He starts talking, goes, all right, guys, we're playing the Ravens. And then he starts talking about the Ravens ownership and who he is, how he made his money. And then there was a reason he did all this. He would say, Steve Bisciotti, self-made billionaire. He did it in the human resources department or whatever it was at the time. And he goes, you can see that running through the organization. He cares about his people. He takes care of his people. And then they go into John Harbaugh and how he kind of thinks about football. And he'd even talk about the GM, how they thought about football. And he would do that. And he would spend 30 minutes on that meeting alone, and it would go through the organization and then how it would bleed down to the roster building. And then he would ask some questions. All right, he never necessarily asked myself, but Nick, who's the punt returner? And you kind of had to know who the punt returner was, and it was just to make sure you were on top of your game. And he would do it, and then so I thought it was awesome because I learned a lot of just about the organizations.
Yeah.
And then he would break it down into, like we were talking about earlier, the analytics. He would, all right, we need to stay ahead of the chains against these guys because when we get to 3rd and 7+, they're a spin the wheel type team on defense, and they'll throw every blitz they have at you. So if we keep them in 3rd and 6 or 3rd and manageable, they're going to not get into that package because they don't feel comfortable enough doing it the whole game. They might do it once or twice, but not the whole game. So he was he understood that a lot, and I had tons of conversations with him about kicking, especially in Gillette and all that. And I would always talk to him at the end of every season just to kind of continue to tell him that I wanted to play, because we'd have meetings at the end, and he was like, I don't want anyone to think about retiring or playing, for a couple weeks. Go take time off, which made sense because he didn't want guys to make an emotional decision. But I always told him, I said, look, I feel like I'm kicking well, I want to play. And we'd have great conversations, and he was like, Nick, I really appreciate how every game you say, all right, my range is, like, we're playing late in Gillette. I can hit from 50, and we feel comfortable about it, and then we can go to, like, 53, 54 at the end of a half. Like, we can just let one fly. And he's like, I love how, like, accurate you were with it, because it helps Josh and I talk about the game. Like, I'll tell them that pregame, and then, like, him and Josh will talk, and then he goes, all right, now I know when we're in go-for-it mode or when we have to punt or whatever, and Josh would know, okay, 3rd and 15, okay, let's just get a couple yards and we're in Nick's field goal range or whatever. He had names for specific situations, and the one I remember because it involved me was giraffe, and he would say it's a giraffe situation, and it's get back in field goal range. So G and then field goal in FG in the middle of giraffe. And so it happened my first year there with Tom. We're playing Buffalo late in the year. It was 3rd and 15, I think, at the, call it, 45 or 40-yard line, so out of field goal range. And I remember we went over it on a Monday meeting, the next meeting. He was like, all right, this is a great draft situation, guys. And I'm pretty sure Josh would tell Tom, all right, we're in a draft situation. Don't try to get the whole 15. We don't need it. We're just going to kick a field goal. Yep. And Tom threw a 7-yard route or whatever it was, and we kicked the 51-yard field goal, made it. And so he would go through all kinds of situations. He was super on top of all situations, everything from offense, defense, special teams. So he was a lot of fun to play for. Like I said earlier, I learned a lot of football, not necessarily X's and O's, but more about the fundamentals of football, and then just about the NFL in general, because he's been around for, he got in the NFL in the early 70s, I guess, probably. So he coached a lot of football.
So I think it mentioned to me one time the most preparation you've ever seen from an organization. Mm-hmm. And I think we see that as fans when they have to change rules because, he has figured out a way around them.
Yeah.
And not a way around them. He's used them to the team's benefit.
Yeah.
Right? And I say the same thing about salespeople, right? If you put together a compensation plan, they're going to figure out how to make the most money out of it.
Yep.
Whether it's selling the things that you want them to sell or not.
Yep.
So you talk a little bit about just the different level of preparation that he would put you guys through.
Like I said, so we would, NFL work week is kind of starts on Wednesday, let's say. So you start Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is your prep. Saturday you got walkthrough. Sunday the game. Monday you re-go over the game, and then Tuesday's off. So by Tuesday evening, most of the coordinators had like their kind of scouting reports done. So that way it was all sent out on the iPads, and guys could look at it the night before Wednesday meetings. And on Wednesdays he would ask questions, not about X's and O's, but about the players you were going to play. So he was big on that, just knowing your opponent, knowing who the players were, who the returner for me or whatever. So I'd kind of never seen that level of it. And then, our special teams game plans were huge and thick based off of a lot of just information about the opponents, not necessarily X's and O's, what we're going to do. And he would, I remember, so New England was unique to me because we did everything out of the stadium. So our home locker room I used every day. So I didn't have to pack a bag when we were playing at home. But right next to the locker room was the weight room. I would get there early on game days to go do through my routine and whatever. And I'm sitting in my locker or I'm walking through the locker room to do something, and Bill's walking into the weight room to go get on the treadmill. And I'm like, man, with an iPad. I'm like, what's he? And he'll walk out with more notes. He's still preparing for the game, and the game hasn't even started. And there's times where he would prepare for the wind. Again, that Buffalo game I was telling you about, the 36-mile-an-hour winds. We talked about that all week, that it was going to be really windy, what we had to do to win. And he was like, we are going to make sure that Buffalo has kicking into the win in the fourth quarter. Like he wasn't big necessarily on deferring every single time or whatever. He was like, all right, we're going to do what's best for the team. And he did it multiple times, not necessarily when I was there, but he would take the win in overtime instead of the ball when the rule was first one to score wins.
Yep.
And he's like, I know Peyton. Like the one I remember was Denver at New England. He won the toss and said, we want to defend this end. Because and everyone's like, what, you don't want the ball? You're going to give Peyton Manning the ball? He's like, well, and talking to some of the guys, he goes like, yeah, he knew Peyton couldn't drive into the wind. And then we'd get it. And with Steve Gostkowski was our kicker, who had a huge leg, he could kick a 55-yard field goal with the win. So that was how much he thought about it. He thought about the shadows or the sun in Gillette. And okay, the sun's going to be here in the first quarter. We're going to make sure we go away from the sun and put their returners into the sun. Like he thought about all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, the preparation, not only from X's and O's,
yep,
but from every little detail he could think about he thought about it all. It's everything.
So then you go to Tennessee and Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another defensive player coach.
Mm-hmm.
And this was his first head coaching job, right?
Yeah, but he'd been there, I got there in 23? He's got there in 18 or 19, something like that. So he'd been there a while. I love Mike. Mike's great. He took kind of, quote, unquote, the best from Bill.
Yep.
And then he did what he wanted to do as well. He would get on you, but then he was also, like, going to be with you as well, if that makes sense. Like, he's going to, like, have your back, but he's going to, like, I got to get on you a little bit. He would ask questions just like Bill would. And then he would have the one thing I loved about it is every Friday we had, he called it Friday Tape. It was a 30-minute team meeting, and they'd go around him and Stretch, his kind of right-hand guy, would watch all the plays around the league, and they'd go through a lot of the situations. And a lot of them that were important to us, they would show on the tape. And then he would ask questions. All right, what should this team do here? And a lot of guys had watched the film and seen, and everyone's like, not what they did, you know. But it was a lot of fun to learn, and he was great. And I think you saw it this year with New England. I mean, they went from 4-13 to 14-3. So he knows how to interact with players, how to build a team, how to get everyone to fight for each other. He's a great head coach. I love playing for Mike. He was a lot of fun. I talked to him before both games. We played him this year. And I think he's happy to be back in New England and kind of where, I guess you could say, his career took off. I mean, he played in Pittsburgh to start, but where he kind of built the majority of his career.
So I got one question that's not related to this. You've seen a lot of rookie shows. So did you have to do anything as a rookie?
I did. We were at the Alamo Dome, and our schedule was way different than it is now. We had double days. So we would.
Back when men used to be men.
Yes. And it's hilarious because guys are like, man, that practice hard. I'm like, hard. Like, imagine like taking a 3-hour break and doing it again. Yeah. And you're like, what? So we were at the Alamo Dome, and kind of the way we did it in Dallas at the time was our meals were at the Alamo Dome, or 2 meals were there. One, like breakfast, may have been at the hotel. And so I don't remember what meal it was, but you would just go to the meal room and you might just get called up. And it was just, you had to name, school, signing bonus, and either sell a joke or sing, or kind of perform, do something. I remember only watching a handful because it was just like you could just get called up with 3 people there.
Yeah. Right?
And it was, I may have been dinner because there was a lot of people. So I went up there, name, school, signing bonus, and then I just sang Bear Down. And they let me finish it. And then they booed me off the stage, and I'm done.
Perfect.
Right? It wasn't like they didn't boo me like in 2 seconds or anything like that. Like, it was just like, all right, let the kicker get through it. You're done. And then that was it. And then I've seen some really good shows. New England put on, like, they took their time, and the rookies went and practiced, and they'd have rookie meetings after meetings and stuff like that. They put on some good shows. Who else? Our rookies this year did a pretty good thing on Halloween. They all had to dress up for Halloween this year, which was funny. Yeah, I've seen a lot of it. It's just a good little break the monotony of training camp and stuff like that.
So now you're back with the Jets. Second stint. Aaron Glenn, first-time head coach. You played with him?
I played with him here in Dallas.
Are you older than him?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He was on year 13 maybe or so when I got here. And we were teammates for kind of that offseason of 2007. He was one of the quote-unquote surprise cuts at the end of training camp of 2007. And then he went and played a couple more years after that. So I've known AG for a long time. I mean, I won't say – I probably said 3 things to him my rookie year here. But I like AG a lot. I think he's got a clear vision of what he wants as a football coach. He's not wavering from it, which I think is great. I've played for some coaches who kind of waver, like, okay, it's not going well, let's just put it in the box and we'll deal with it later. He's not going to waver from it. He knows he's seen enough football from playing and coaching of what works, how to kind of rebuild an organization. He saw it happen in Detroit. And, you know, he's trying to put his stamp on it. He's just trying to get his guys in there to do it his way. It just becomes I guess you could say a timing thing. You know, how much is Woody willing to, okay, I'm going to give you time to do it? Because, I mean, realistically, the Jets have kind of been just either mid-table or below mid-table for a long, long time. And so you have to really try to change a lot of, A, pieces on the team, but B, the organization. Because people just get stagnant in the organization, and they're like, well, I've got my job, I'm good. You know, and you got to make sure we're things are moving or people are on their toes at least so that we can continue to build the organization the way that he wants to, his vision of it. So I think he's doing a great job. I know the record didn't show it. He's obviously learning on the job, first year head coach, and he tried to really let everyone kind of run their parts. And I think this year he'll go back to calling the defense. And
you got 9 new coaches this year coming, right?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. So he'll, you know, and he's told us, he goes, there's a lot more to deal with as a head coach than you realize. You know, when you have to deal with, like, not necessarily roster building, or there's way more outside of the actual football part of it that you have to deal with that I don't think he realized. What he was like, wow, I didn't realize coach had to do this, especially in a major market like New York. Maybe in Detroit or New Orleans you can get away with doing a little bit less because it's smaller, but in New York, I mean, you got to do everything. You got to be all kinds of places and answer all kinds of questions and stuff like that. So, but he's up. I really enjoyed playing for AG, and I think if given the time, he'll be able to turn around.
I mean, I think, you know, Rex is still a Jets fan's god, right? Because they had success there. I think if anyone can get the organization turned around, they will have a legacy in New York for a very, very long time.
Totally agree. I totally agree. And that's why Rex is still revered there. People still want him to come back. They wanted him rehired last when they were hiring AG. So, I mean, it's one of those places that you win, you're fine. You're going to be all right. It's just going to be the consistent winning. Can we consistently keep building? And I think they're set up for some pretty good success. They have good cap space this year. They've got a ton of draft picks the next 2 years. So they've set themselves up for not necessarily being like right away, which I think guys were like, we want to win right away. Everyone's like, I want to win right away. But I think that you give them time with the pieces they have, as long as they continue to make good moves and draft well, they're going to do well. Because they've drafted, I think, like last year, we had some good pieces out of that draft with Membu, Mason Taylor played well, AZ, the corner played really well until he got banged up. He had a safety, Malachi Moore played really well. So they did well. They hit some guys. They can continue to do that. I think they'll be in good shape.
Assuming we can. I mean, it seems like I think all of sport, the most important position player on any team is a quarterback.
100%.
And I think you saw that with the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a very good quarterback.
Yep.
It's very hard, I think, to win consistently. You can only game plan around a quarterback for so long.
Yeah. It's the most important position in pretty much, I would say, all of team sports, right? Because they're the ones who have the ball every offensive play. and whether it's a handoff or a throw, Bill Belichick's biggest thing was quarter to the quarterbacks. We can't do anything until you get rid of the ball. We can't gain a yard until you get rid of the ball. Like, that's just the way it is. We're going to lose yards if you hold on to it. Most of them. Now, Cam Newton maybe in a different story because he could run a little bit, but that was his thing. We cannot move until you get rid of the ball. So your decision-making is imperative, and your footwork is imperative to make sure you get it to the running back. So, yeah, I mean, it's true. You really – I mean, look at the teams in the Super Bowl. They have played great quarterback play. Teams in the playoffs, you can really only go as far as your quarterback takes you because they determine so much of every game.
Yep. You've been in a bunch of different organizations, different locker rooms. Can you tell in the first week or the first month, can you get an idea of, hey, we're going to be successful here?
Yeah, you can. You can get an idea of how guys work, how guys come together as a team, or if there's little fractions, guys are sitting over here and guys are sitting over there. But if you get guys whose locker is on one side, but they're hanging out with everyone all over, or there's continual mixing of teammates, and it's not just like you're not just sitting at your locker, you're moving around. Yeah, you can see it. And that was my rookie year. I saw it. Guys were all over the place, playing dice, playing dominoes, having fun, and it wasn't just like one group or just the receivers or just the offense. It was guys mixing up, and so yeah, you can definitely see it. And I think that's part of the biggest thing that sometimes when organizations are split, I mean is like, okay, the football, the team, the coaches, and the locker room are downstairs, and all the, call it, operations of football are downstairs. And then upstairs is your management, the ones who make decisions. They don't necessarily see the chemistry that guys build in the locker room. And they don't understand, they don't walk to the locker room. Like Bill would walk to the locker room all the time. And he was walking in the weight room or walking in the training room or somewhere, but he could see what was going on. He had a good feel of understanding. And I just think that sometimes you get some guys who can be a little bit cancerous, and they're not seen. Everyone sees the talent. And here's one of my favorite stories I've ever heard. And I've told a lot of people that I want to write a book when I'm done about potential, the word potential in the NFL. I think it's the dumbest word ever. Because if a guy has potential, great. But if he can't himself get his potential out of him, then a coach isn't going to be able to get it out of him. Yeah. So I was sitting on after a training camp practice, on a bike, talking to a scout, and he was like a area scout or a college scout or something, I forget. And I said, yeah, what are you guys doing here? And he's like, well, all the scouts come in for the first 2 weeks of training camp or first 10 days, whatever, and each of us has a position group. And so there might be 2 scouts per position group just to kind of watch everything. And I said, okay, so what do you have?
Because like the coach is so in the middle of it, they want another set of eyes.
Yeah, and they're making decisions, roster decisions. Yep. So they want the scouts' decisions to be, because a lot of times position coaches, I don't think necessarily have a big say. They'll have their say when they get a huge round table. Okay. They'll say, all right, I like Nick Folk. He's got big upside. He's doing everything I need him to do. Blah 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 blah. But I don't know if the coach necessarily. The position coach has a lot of say. The head coach and the coordinators do probably have some say. So this scout was saying he has outside linebackers. And I said, okay, so what do you look for? And at the time, we had an outside linebacker who was 6'5", long arms, could run. And he's like, we look for this guy. And I'm like, okay, great. That's fine. I could see that. But not everyone's built like that. Yeah. I said, what would you guys have thought about like James Harrison? And he goes, well, we wouldn't have liked him. And I said, but he's like a defensive player of the year, and I said, don't you want a guy who does it, not has the potential to do it? And his answer was, that's the coach's job. The coach's job is to get him to do it. Our job is to find the guy with the potential, and the coach's job is to get him to do it. I said, okay. That's when it kind of clicked for me that this is when the NFL, there's 2 people trying to keep their jobs. Head coach, his blame is going to be, okay, the general manager didn't get me a guy for my scheme, my fit, and I've seen that.
3-4 versus 4-3.
Yeah, or a press corner, press corner versus zone corner, whatever. And then you get the general manager. I got the best guys, the most talented guys, the most potential. The coaches couldn't get it out of them. So finding a partnership with a head coach, and coaching staff and management staff that marry well, that understand each other, and they have the same vision is important. Because, like, you look at the best player of all time, Tom Brady. He obviously had no potential because he was pick 199, according to everyone. But he had, he could do it, and then he got better and better and better. James Harris, another good one. Undrafted free agent, played in NFL Europe, but then he ended up doing it. So that's where I say the word potential in my mind is just the worst word ever. Because, like, yes, a guy has potential, but does he do it? I don't know. Can he do it? Sure, but does he? That's the most important thing to me.
We talk a lot about culture versus execution, right? Would you rather have a good culture or be able to execute well? My point is that you can't execute well if you don't have the right culture.
I agree with that. I would agree that culture should come first. Execution will follow because your culture will build the execution.
Yep.
The other way, it won't necessarily work, because then if you just worry about execution, then one guy doesn't execute and your culture can't bring him back to execution, then you're done right away.
You mentioned Tom Brady. You've played with some of the NFL future Hall of Famers and legends. What have you taken away from some of those folks that you either put into your everyday life, or what you're doing as a parent, or what you do to play?
I've kind of had this mindset for a long, long time, but it didn't really kind of hit me in, I guess you could say, verbal terms until, like, I heard Tom Brady say it. And everyone's asking, what's your favorite ring? And he said, the next one. And the way I kind of approach kicking is the most important kick's the next kick. So it's an easier way for me to get over anything that just happened, good, bad, and different. And then the other one would be like another, I didn't play with him, but Kobe was like, if I didn't learn from my mistake, I didn't do anything. Like, it was just a mistake. I failed. But if I learned from it, I didn't fail. I learned. So we were talking earlier about watching film and stuff. That's where that comes in. Like, okay, with practice or a game, you watch it, you can pick up on what happened, and then you put it in your memory bank, and then you're, all right, don't tell yourself not to do it, but let's think about it and how we can improve it. But that was my kind of thing, is like, and I tell my kids that all the time. The most important thing you do, whatever it is the next one. You learn from the past. Don't dwell on it. Like for Davis and Gage, big soccer players, like the most important thing you do is your next practice, your next training session, your next game, whatever that comes. And then just go play, have fun, enjoy it, because you guys know how to do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. And then we'll worry about what happened, the consequences after. So that's probably my biggest thing that I've learned from. And I would tell the same thing to, like, a salesperson. Your most important sale is your next one, not the previous one.
Yep.
Your biggest one you may just had, well, learn from it, or the one you missed, learn from it, get better, and then the most important one's the next one. And I think that goes for kind of life in general. Most important, like, if you get stuck worrying about the past, you're never going to worry about today or tomorrow, and you're never going to be able to make today better than yesterday.
Yep. Let's wrap it up here. We sit around as dads a lot. And I was on a golf trip in Michigan, and there's 8 dads sitting around, and we get on, like, sports and how we were all athletes, right? And we've got 2 dads that truly believe that they could hit a baseball out of a Major League Baseball stadium. Truly believe this. And then we've got another friend, our little friend, who believes to this day, and we had this conversation 2 days ago.
Oh, I heard about it last night.
That he can kick a 50-yard field goal.
Uh-huh.
Now, we went to W.T. White, and we were watching people try to kick extra points, and it was a dumpster fire, an absolute dumpster fire. If you were to handicap this,
okay,
do you think a 49-year-old man can still kick a 50-yard field goal off of 10 tries? Now, there's about $10,000 on this bet at this point.
I've heard.
If you had to pick a side.
Okay, here's my question. Are we outside?
We're outside. We're at Jesuit.
Okay, and I know Jesuit well because that's where I go kick. Is the day calm, or is it got a good breeze at his back?
I think it's whatever day we decide. The weather is now. We will let him pick which side he wants to go to.
Well, he's going to kick with the wind.
Yeah.
He's going to kick towards the school. I mean, they're 95% of the time the wind's running that way. 50 yards is a long way.
This is what I think.
50 yards is a long way.
I mean, for someone who's 5'2", like this is a long kick.
It's a long kick for anyone. I mean, a long kick for me. 10 tries.
10 tries.
Off the ground, or is he getting kickoff tee?
No, off the ground. This is game situation.
Okay, what ball does he use? That's the next question.
I'm sure he's gonna come to you for some juiced up balls.
Okay, but I could give him like a juiced up synthetic kind of rubber ball that will fly, or
it has to be
an NFL ball,
an NFL leather ball.
And even if I give him a juiced up one, those things, I mean, I don't know. I would put it pretty low.
Okay.
Percentages are pretty low. And it's funny you say that. So there's a guy at my club at Bentry, Brent Kennedy. He just had double knee replacement. I was talking about it with Andrew Obrioti and Dave Smelzer. They have it on Instagram. I got to find it. It's something with BK. I'll find it for you. But they're trying to get a big old thing for him, and they're going to try to make like a thing. He thinks he can kick an extra point with 2 replaced knees or something like that. So we might have to get everyone out there together and get this thing going. So we might have to put this together.
I just texted Jonathan Alexander over at Jesuit. I was like, hey, can I get the field for he's like, how long you need? I go, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. Yeah. I'm like, this should be over real quick.
Well, just do it on the day that I'm kicking. We can do it. And I'll get Brett out there. They want to film it. They want to there's a guy at Bentry who I've done some other podcasts with who does filming for it. So he wants to come film it as well. So we should try to get everyone together and make it a duel, not a competition, because there's 2 different things going on, but 2 different bets, but around the same thing. And then we could get some charity involved in it.
I was going to say, we can find a way to raise money. We thought about doing a dad's home run hitting contest.
That would be fun too.
And it was like, hey, $50, you get 10 swings or 10 balls.
Yeah, we got to get a pitching machine out there though.
Yeah,
we got to because we can't get everyone's got to.
Oh, there are certain people who want live pitching as opposed to machine.
Oh,
it was crazy.
Man, I don't even think I could. And maybe if I got a hold of one I gotta have to see like a 50, 60 mile an hour pitch again. That'd be hard to do. I mean, one of my good buddies is the catching coach for the Rangers, and he played professional baseball. And I'm like, I don't know how many dads really could.
The problem is that the ball needs to be coming faster than what you could probably. So if you want to try to hit a 50 or 60 mile an hour pitch, that's much harder than hitting an 80 mile an hour pitch.
Yeah, and you got to generate the power. Where the pros, they're generating power, but a 100 mile an hour fastball coming at you, you make contact, it's launching off the bat. It's just science at that point, and so it's harder, I think. I don't know the specifics of this, but I would assume you have to generate more power on a ball, like on a T-ball, on a ball on a tee.
Yep.
Then
you got to swing faster.
You got to swing harder. You got to generate the more power than a pitch, even coming 50 miles an hour at you, because you get that, whatever that science term is,
exit velocity.
Yeah. Well, no, the exit velocity you can have off the tee whenever it hits the bat in one of Newton's laws or something, okay. Equal and opposite reaction or something like that.
I'm trying to explain to these guys that, look at how you hit a golf ball versus how, a one handicap hits the golf ball. It's going 60, 70 yards further. And, this isn't even a tour player. Yeah. This is just, one of our buddies who's good at golf. I go, it sounds different.
Yeah. I caddied for a buddy. He did the Monday Pro-Am out at Colonial a couple years ago. And I caddied for him just for fun. And our group, we actually had one of the better. It was, oh my gosh. He was an ex-tour player, plays now a lot in Europe and Dubai. Spanish guy, 3 names. Not Jose Maria Alzabal, but another. I could find him on Instagram. Well, but he played from the back tees and all and just the sound that his ball makes and the speed that it comes off with is so much different than just
It's the sound of him hitting it, then it's the sound of the ball.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm safe on both of these bets. The home run and the field goal, I think I'm safe.
I bet you're probably pretty safe on both of them.
All right. Well, good stuff, Nick. I appreciate you coming in today. I think I learned a lot. Hopefully everyone who watches learned a lot. And we're looking forward to seeing some green again next year.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks for having
good
me.
Stuff.
Thanks for tuning in to the IT Masters podcast, where technology's top leaders share their winning strategies. Subscribe now and stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of IT. Until next time, keep innovating and leading the way.